Do you ever think about that? Do you think about the different scenarios and what might have been and how you would have managed that?
Yeah, how can you not? I mean, as you sit here today and know that your NFL career didn't work out, wouldn't it be nice to fantasize and think about going somewhere else to be able to maybe have a fresh start or something different, or if it had worked out? And I don't play that game as much with myself anymore as I used to in the past. I think that's a lot of what I've been doing for the last 8 years. But fit does matter, and where you go and a coach believing in you. Somebody has to believe in one of these guys and believe in it the way that they may not even believe in themselves. And that's where I ran into some trouble is, I had people believing in me, but when it comes down to it, if you're not doing the work yourself to get to where you need to go individually as a person, you're still going to have your struggles no matter how much belief is in that quarterback room. And that's from my experience.
Well, yeah, you had this great interview with Shannon Sharp where you talked about the experience in Cleveland that you just sort of brought up and the challenge of having that confidence. And I think it was a defensive coordinator said something about you'd be a great football player if you got your head out of your ass. And then that was immediately sort of a trigger that was really challenging for you. What do you remember about that? Why do you think it had such an impact?
I think for me, I was at a place in my life where my game was struggling and I didn't have the confidence in myself on the football field that I normally had in the past. And when you lose that confidence in yourself, you start to question whether you can make that throw. And the NFL is not a place for you to drop back 5 steps and be like sitting back there going, can I make this? Can I make this throw? Can I really step into this and get it to where I need to be? And when your confidence is, not there and you're taking steps back in a game and you're dropping and thinking about this or thinking about that, football is not a game that you can think and play. You need to go out and have your work done pre-prepped and pre-ready to go to where when Sundays come around, you just do. You don't think.
The I'm curious when you started digging in and looking at football again from the perspective you are now, where you can analyze it, where you can be sort of detached when you're not thinking about, oh, that could have been me kind of stuff, but more as someone who has the expertise and can relay the information.
Yeah, I think for me, I had to fall out of love with the game for a little bit. So for 2 years, when I got done playing, I wanted nothing to do with football or nothing to. I didn't want to watch. I didn't want to see any of it, and it kind of made me sick to even have to walk by TVs on Saturdays and Sundays and have to see a game of football being played. And slowly through life and just time passing by, I got back to a place where I could watch it and have some enjoyment about seeing the beauty of the game of football and look at it from a perspective of not in a selfish lens. Look at it as a football does good for the world. Football does good for people, a fan base. It's more than just the players. There's so much tied into the game of football that sometimes when you're playing, you don't necessarily see. And when you're out of it, you definitely see through a different lens how much goes in to just showing up to a game on Sunday, from the staff to the fans to all of it that goes in. When you become a spectator and you're not a player, you really get another chance to see, and it makes you feel some kind of way.
Sam, did you want to jump in? Because I have one more question I want to ask him, but
Yeah,
you
I
can go if you
think
want.
Johnny touched on it a little bit, but I think he's also, again, fit is very important, what he's talking about. But I think Johnny is a great temperament of, you are probably one of the more gifted athletes ever to play football. I think anyone that's ever watched college football that, grew up enjoying the game and loves the game, you're a unicorn. Like you're a player that there hasn't really been one since you came to the league, and before you, I really can't think of a guy that came into the league. But I think you're also the proof of talent only gets you so far, right? Like I can't imagine the feeling you had when you first got the NFL of you're looking up. I mean, Peyton Manning is one of that says what I'm about to say here is that he knew how good he was. He remember when he got to the league, it was like looking up this giant mountain. And the guy was like, you got to work every day to walk up to that top of that mountain while 300-pound dudes are trying to beat the crap out of you and kill you while you're trying to climb up there. So you know what it takes. And I think you're a testament of, you know, you're very open about it, but it's like, it's incredible how many people get washed out because of getting overwhelmed by that amount of pressure to succeed that way and the amount of work ahead of you. Did you feel that overwhelmingness when you got into the league of like, holy shit, I can't just party and not watch film. Like, I got to put in a shit ton of work here.
I would say it didn't set into me until after a year. I was so ingrained and had so many things going right for me throughout my whole life that I got
You're
to the
that
NFL.
good. Yeah, you're
I
that
got to
good.
the NFL without any hiccups, you know, like did I have a couple like issues in college with off the field or this and that? Sure. But as far as a football player, you know, I got all the way to the biggest stage in the world based off pure athletic talent. And like, yeah, hard work was a little bit mixed in there, but it was definitely always more play than work for me at that point in time. So for me, it took a year to set in and finally be like, oh shit, like I'm not doing what the rest of the people in this league are doing. You know, I'm not like step by step incrementally climbing up that mountain. I'm sitting at the bottom going, is somebody going to take me to the top of this thing or what are we doing? And that was like my mindset that I had then. And then after my first year in the league and it didn't go the way I wanted it to, and it sat wrong with me, that I worked harder the second year and then the situation didn't work itself out. So I think, you know, a lot of these guys are sitting here right now and they don't necessarily know the work. They may think they know the work that they have in front of them. But other than that, you just really hope that these guys have the love of the game instilled all the way into them to where they live it, they breathe it, and they have that Peyton Manning, Tom Brady kind of mindset in them. Because without that mindset, I don't care how gifted you are athletically, you won't make it unless you're a grinder in the NFL. And they get weeded out every single day. I mean, there's talented guys. I'm a laundry list. You know, I'm one of many and a long line of people who haven't reached their full potential in the NFL. Call it a bust, call it what you want, whatever it may be. It's a hard game. It's a man's game and one you have to work at every day. And if you don't, you get weeded out. The NFL is not for long. And it means that in every sense of the word. The average, you know, people play in this league is 3.5 years. Like that is really, truly what the average is. If you make it and play 4 years, you're above average. I made it 2. So I'm below average. And that was what my career was in a sense. And, you know, to have a long career, whether it's a starter, a backup, a third string, any of it really comes with the hard work because there's only 32 spots and there's only 64 first and, you know, the backup quarterbacks in the NFL. So you're one of 64 in the entire planet. And then there's a couple guys scattered around. But really, you're fighting for one of 64, and that's what your fight is every day. If you don't have your mindset around that and based in that, you're going to struggle.